Hello everybody, welcome to Top Sim. I am William Lebowski, and today we have something that we have never provided the channel before, and that is some GT4 racing. We provide a lot of GT3 racing to the channel, actually, but I've actually never given GT4 cars much of a chance, and that is mostly to do with my previous experience with them. And my first exposure to them was in Project Cars 2, and I think that game, particularly with the Madness engine and the way that people perceive the Madness engine now, when it comes to people's current day thoughts about that game, some people have a super soft spot for it because it helped them transition into more serious pursuits in sim racing. And other people think of it as more of a casual simcade title if they were already into, sim racing deep before that game was in its heyday, or also if they just graduated to other things quickly, like Assetto Corsa or Assetto Corsa Competizione, or something a little bit more already deeper into the water. But my most recent experience with the GT4 class of cars has been in AMS2, and both of those experiences are like the car's wheels are frozen solid like hockey pucks, and the race itself is taking place on some sort of professional hockey rink. And it's been a frustrating experience because when I hear people talk about the real-life GT4 class of cars, I hear fantastic things, and not just because the drivers are eager to prove themselves because they're interested in making their way up the ranks, so they're interested in learning the limits of their own driving capabilities, and so it could be really excited from that point of view. But the cars themselves are, it's supposed to be very exciting themselves. So they have a lot of power, but slightly, less than the GT3 class, and also the added bonus of them being a little bit extra loose. They're not, as planted into the ground as that GT3 class of car. And so hearing this, it made me really excited because, as someone who doesn't have all of, the skills in sim racing, a lower class of car really appeals to me for, an exciting type of racing. And I was delivered so big when it came to the Alpine A110 GT4 car. It was released in January to rFactor 2. They had an official blog post about it from Studio 397. But at that time, I was in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I was away from the fake race car, and so I just wasn't able to really experience it on a release day. But it was something that was on my radar. And then when I came back, I had a lot of catching up to do, so to say, when it came to sim racing and getting to the things that were superfluous and fun and unexplored and potentially a frustrating experience compared to my previous experiences. It kind of went to the back burner. And I pulled them out because I am learning Kyalami for an upcoming Endurance League race, and I wanted a slower car that would still provide an exciting racing experience because I did want to get out there with other cars just to see how this track handles, with other vehicles on them, whether they be AI or not. And so the GT3 cars were a bit more than I could chew, I think, for a brand new track experience, and touring cars just, weren't going to cut it. That's not the exact, type of racing experience that I, am preparing myself for. So I reached for these GT4 cars, and to my knowledge, these are the only ones in rFactor 2, at least the only, quote-unquote official GT4 car in the game, but I have not really dug through the workshop yet, and so I'm sure I could find a fan, or not a fan favorite, but the user favorite if I really went to dig through it. But these are an incredible racing experience, and it doesn't make me, even though this is one field made up of the same car, the racing experience is so incredible that it didn't make me, feel like, oh, I need to push to find more other fake race cars to put on this fake race car track. I was very satisfied with the high level of racing. And they are kind of one of my favorite fake race car experiences right now. A very close racing, door-to-door racing, intense battles. And because these cars are a little bit slower, those gaps are a lot more exciting because you have to do a bigger move to get by. or you know, you have to go even more dangerously into these braking zones. And so it makes the style of racing exciting to be a part of, and I think it translates to an exciting, you know, style of racing to watch. So I think I'm going to be including a lot more of this GT4 car racing, and especially going to try to dig as far into, you know, the GT4 class that is available on rFactor 2. And immediately within the first lap, the car responded to the tires heating up very quickly, and I knew that this was going to be a different racing experience, and that I was going to be able to put this car to 100% without being worried about some sort of inconsistencies with slippage and weird, you know, physics that were not, you know, applicable, so to say, to the rest of the cars. And I don't mean to say this as someone who, because I know when it comes to sim racing, there are people that have actually driven real race cars, and so when I say that these cars feel like a real race car experience, I don't mean that as someone who's driven a real race car, but what I do mean that as is someone who's just driven a car on a somewhat fast pace on a curve. I think we've all been on a highway that has a decent, you know, nice, you know, bending curve. You're going, you know, between 60 and 80 miles per hour on it. You know that if you put the throttle down halfway in, you know, at your cruising speed and your cruising gear, that you're not going to send the car sideways. It's not going to flip out on you. And really, no matter the situation. And that really should translate to the GT4 experiences, because sometimes when you're in these cars, you're going through some of these speeds at corners that you've taken, and by you I mean just the licensed driver listening to this has taken before in a potentially similar car, you know, in a potentially similar kind of situation. And by situation, I don't mean closed course, but I just mean, like I was saying earlier, like a bend in a highway that's, you know, pretty fast. And so this felt like an experience that felt real to me, and it really brought up the question of what is immersion to me, because I realized through this racing experience that immersion really does happen in just more than one type of racing environment. I think a lot of people think that immersion is just something that happens with incredible, beautiful graphics, because those graphics and the way that things look a pretty game, you know, just kind of sucks you into what it is, and that is definitely true. That is part of it. I think we look at AMS2 and the Madness engine for that prime example. It's an incredibly beautiful game, and it really sucks you in that regard. But rFactor 2 is immersive in a very special way, in that the force feedback is so detailed, even without having a, you know, a top of the line amazing, you know, rig combination, you know, direct drive wheel, and it makes you feel like you're actually in a race car from the sense of what you're feeling in your hands and what you feel like your inputs are doing to the car. And that is a type of race experience that is incredibly valuable. And it's a type of immersion that is incredibly valuable that I think often gets overlooked, because it's one of those things where, you know, some people say with certain jobs it can be frustrating because when they're done right, people don't notice, and so you often feel like you don't get the recognition for whatever the job is that you're doing in that case. And that style of immersion is one of those jobs, because it's perfect, and if it's not there, you really, really notice it. But when it's there, it's so easy to overlook it, so to say. It's so easy to get complacent about it. So easy to just be like, yeah, I'm going to drive a fake race car, and it feels like I'm driving a fake race car, or it feels like I'm driving a real race car, I'm sorry. And I feel like that is very often overshadowed by the ability to just sit behind, you know, a computer and feel like you're doing something other than that. And I think that is just an incredible experience that is what we're all here for. So if you're as late to the party as I am, if it's something that you have yet to check out, the Alpine A100 GT4 car, get on them. Hit up one of your favorite racetracks. You will have a great time, I promise. As well as if you have any other GT4 mods from the workshop that you would like to share down below in the comment section, I'd really be interested in them, and I'm sure other people would as well. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. And let's get some good racing. Happy racing, everybody. See you in the next one.